coming from the truth space. We ain't entertaining neighbors. I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. Yeah, we coming from the true space. We ain't entertaining neighbors. I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. What's good, y'all? My name's Open Buck. This is my partner.
Hey guys, this is Harith. Welcome back to Truspace.
Yep, and welcome to your weekly horoscope where we're breaking down the energies that we're going to be hit with this week. So let's take a look at it. Monday, December 12th, we have the moon in Leo making a trine with Chiron and Aries. How do you think this alignment's going to hit us?
So we're gonna be emotionally reacting in a fixated, determined, even stubborn way to the way we express our visions and imagination, which create like creativity, self-expression, and it's the moon in Leo is all about entertaining what we basically exploded when the moon went to Gemini, which is actually us emotionally reacting to the ability to communicate broadly about what we started the new moon in Sagittarius. So think about the moon in Leo right now is you performing what you communicated and logically understood in the full moon in Gemini based on your journey about the Sagittarius energy and understanding how to apply faith, optimism, spirituality, broader understanding. So this is you being on the stage, but with a broader way of expressing yourself. This is Leo with more of a swag. So now having the moon trining Chiron and Aries, having all this ability to express yourself was great opportunity for you to deal with all those mistakes when it comes to seeing yourself, because right now you're having fun, and that will help Aries, a self single direct nature, to loosen up a little bit, since Chiron right now is been there for a long time. I think it's around 18-degree retrograde. So that let us know there's a lot of healing, a lot of mistakes that gotta be made when it comes to seeing yourself and understanding how to construct that image within your brain and nervous system. By having the moon in Leo right now, this is you pumping blood to your body, and this is will get your brain, your head to get to awaken, like things like that, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I see it like helping somebody laugh off a mistake or laugh off an injury, that they've had to their personal identity and how they feel about themselves. Where the moon and Leo will help you have fun while making mistakes. Or maybe even the mistakes that you make are so individualized, and if you're in the Leo energy, so honest to who you are, then you'll start to see even when you make mistakes, people applaud you for it, or people that it makes people laugh, it makes people happy, even though it's not exactly what you wanted to get across. But that level of honesty, you may find it's easier to get there. Or due to fear of that embarrassment, you can really dive into that self-domineering energy of the moon and Leo. And then now you're moving into, and for the making mistakes around your personal desires, the moon and Leo may make you want to control your emotions, to be a little bit more controlling of how you feel and a little bit more dominating of the pieces that are around, instead of just allowing yourself to fully express yourself. So you want to stay on the side of being able to laugh about the mistakes, being able to make things lighter, being able to um you know take things with more grace. Leo is really about grace and aspect. That's why it's the stage, and why the tarot card is the strength card, and it's some shorty taming a lion, because the essence of that card is really the grace that's mixed with power. Aries is probably the power. Like, we're gonna get this going. How about how you sustain power? That's a level of grace. And not to mention that it's sad season, so there's a whole lot of optimism in the air. There's a whole lot of positivity in the air. So really grab onto that and not let that turn into big headedness and dominating type energies.
Mhm. That's a kind of funny. We're talking about how grace is connected to Leo, since we know the whole concept of Christianity is associated with the receiving grace and things like that.
Yeah. Amazing grace.
And then when you're speaking about how Aries, about Aries' self-single, direct-minded nature, that reminded me almost of like the first government, or like the Jewish government, maybe dealing with the Vatican government and shit like that. That type of energy.
No debate. You lose a hand. Your hand's gone. There's no trial. There's no debate. No, you did it. We cut off your hand. Absolutely. Um,
Hmm
then we have the moon in Leo squaring the north nodes, the south node in Scorpio, and the north node in Taurus. How do you think that square with the nodes going on, and the moon is connected with the nodes too? So how do you think that influence on the energy?
So as you're emotionally reacting to expressing these visions and imagination and having fun on the stage, obviously being responsible because we know about Pluto and Capricorn. So almost like you want to have the mindset, you want to express something of a creative nature, but obviously got to be practical. So having that square right now with the South Node and the North Node, this is you going through a learning opportunity and you being reminded of what you need to detoxify from when it comes to vulnerabilities and the things you keep behind the scene that's preventing you from expressing yourself properly on the stage, aka detoxifying your blood through realizing what toxins is holding it from flowing properly. And then the square with the north node is you correlating your self expression and what you entertain for the sake of building stability, building security and safety. Because since there's a natural square to these energy, it's very hard to bring them together since they're the fixated expressions of these elements and things like that. And that causes a lot of friction. So the square is going to learn, teach you how to bring your self creativity, what you keep behind the scene, your vulnerabilities, and what you need to do in terms of safety and security together through that T square.
Hmm. For sure. It's funny how Leo is literally the middle point between these guys, where Taurus may not look at it, just sees things as they are on the surface, and gets fixated on that, on the individual process before things get deep to expressing your internal natures, like what Leo would be. And then Scorpio is a little too far down when you're deeply connected with the external world, where you're incorporating so much other concepts and fixating on that, so much deeper concepts and fixating on that, not neglecting of the energy, or neglecting the energy that you're adding to the. So it's like Leo's like in between. It's like, remember that about your individuality and what you need to put into things. But right now, uh the polarity is really like that axis of Taurus and Scorpio really talks about value, one on a physical level and one on a non-physical level. Scorpio helps you see the meaning or the value that is behind things. But Taurus shows you the value that is being presented in front of things. Leo is incorporating the individual in that. So you'll see that challenge in terms of, right now the moon is asking you, how can you include yourself in this spiritual journey. Right now the spiritual journey is more so directed towards, expanding into the newness, and being uncomfortable with new values, especially Uranus is there shaking things up, making it all volatile and due for renewal. And Scorpio is kind of showing us our past and the things that are holding us back. The challenge right now is, how do your individual creativity, your emotional creativity, how can you facilitate a better spiritual journey where you can reconcile the past, yet capture the new value that's there, for you. And then look at the trine with Chiron, this healing energy, it being easier to laugh at yourself and dust off your shoulders and go, will probably really help you deal with these squares in terms of not being afraid to make mistakes, you can be more confident in including your own emotions and your own creativity on this spiritual journey when you don't really know where you're going. The North Node doesn't really make you feel like you know where you're going. It's just giving you a feeling of direction.
Mhm.
And then what about the in conjunction Venus and Mercury and Capricorn is making to the moon?
So this is what I was speaking about earlier, knowing exactly what you're gonna express and what you're gonna entertain, what you're gonna have fun with, which is gonna obviously create the healing effect for Cardia and Aries. But again, remember Venus, what we love and appreciate, and what we're gonna indulge in, and Mercury, what we think and gonna communicate about, is all in Capricorn, dealing with initiating a business, a status, something to stand on. And we know that since the moon in Leo, what we can express our blood becomes what we're gonna stand on, our bone structure. So it's better for us to express something that's related to practicality. Obviously, it's still gonna have fun, our individuality. This is where you learn how to bring those two energies together, your own individuality, self-expression, light to the overall structure of Capricorn, the most dry thing that takes responsibility, hard work to be able to put together. And this in conjunction is reminding you, is letting you, can you do that? And if you don't, basically express something that's not Saturn and Aquarius not going to approve of, so eventually you're not going to have something to build on, especially when the moon goes into Virgo, where you're gonna harvest everything, and that's gonna hit the trine with Venus and Mercury to see what you had when the moon was in Leo. You expressing your self-expression, but your self-expression was kind of useless. It was not progressive towards society. This is why those two energies are opposing, Leo and Aquarius. If you're able to bring a sense of expression, entertainment, that's actually humanitarian, progressive, that pushes society forward, that could be quite an energy, basically.
Hmm.
But this is
If
the
you're
battle for you
individual,
to learn how to do it. Yeah,
mastering your own individual star power to make a brighter constellation. But yeah,
yo,
right. Um, but that Venus and Mercury and Capricorn really feels made me think of, like, say, like a work situation where, like, you kind of already, let's say if you're going to work, you kind of prepare your mind to be a little bit more dry. You prepare your mind to withdraw yourself and your fun and your individuality and your creativity a little bit more. But imagine if you went to work with that mindset, fine, I gotta go and do this. But then somehow your boss asks you for a little bit of fun time, or asks you and show a little bit more creativity when you had already oriented in your mind to being dry, to being to go and get the job done. But now it's like, whoa, that's what I see that in conjunction as. Like, I didn't expect for my own personal feelings to matter in this situation. But now that it does. So what would you do about it, and how you go about it? Maybe you can incorporate a little bit more fun and creativity amongst that working mindset, because this little opportunity is going to be there, and it could be so easily, you see an opportunity present itself and you're already in that mindset, Mercury and Venus together, you're already in the dry, fucking let me get this done. You may not take the time, or because of the in conjunction, it may feel awkward for you to include your personal creativity, or take that bid to have more fun when you're at work and stuff like that. It may not feel right, but that opportunity is there. So if you feel the awkwardness, and an opportunity like that presents itself, see what it is, and may be surprised on not. I mean, the situation may not play out to exactly what you want it to be, but you may learn a lot about yourself, and you may learn a lot about how to incorporate a more creative mindset amongst a serious structural mindset. And I help you play around that. A lot of people don't realize that. I seen a business guy who said that people don't realize, but your job is your first business partner, or your first investor, because it's the one that teaches you all the lessons and stuff like that helps you set off to go and be an entrepreneurial, or whatever on those lines. You don't realize that even if you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, just the aspects that you went through that workplace doesn't get tossed out in the garbage once you become a multi-billionaire and whatever. It's more of like snowball effect of that. So keep that in mind when those opportunities present themselves. What about the sun in Sagittarius sextiling Saturn in Aquarius?
So we're not having the sun so far in deeper in Sagittarius. We're ending Sagittarius season. We went through a long journey of learning how to incorporate a broader lens of reality and incorporate more faith and optimism into basically what we transformed in Scorpio season. Sagittarius season is ascending that higher perspective, learning how to give meaning and reasoning to which what makes sense and what does not make sense for us to express, especially heading towards Capricorn. So having the sextile Saturn in Aquarius, you're seeing on how you could incorporate what you learn, your own education, your own philosophy, your own wisdom and knowledge into the current structure of society. How can you add your own experience, your own higher education? How can you help it? How can you help society become better through maybe adding your own philosophy? I see Saturn in Aquarius as very dry, since Saturn Aquarius create a lot of restrictions and boundaries for people to the point we communicate on the internet. Things like Facebook, Telegrams, these things became so predominant in this current world. Having the Sun in Sagittarius sextiling here is almost us adding our own like wisdom and knowledge and beautifying this dry communicative aspect for progressivism or whatever. But this us adding our own like sense of light.
Mm-hmm. I get what you mean. Aquarius does have dryness to it, but I feel like maybe Capricorn's like the desert, but Aquarius is like the desert at night or something like that when it gets cold and
Desert
the wind's
walking, yo.
blowing and shit like that. That's what Aquarius feels like.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I get that for sure. Look at Kanye. Being the Gemini, wasn't it all sad season that all of this shit's been going on? Just funny because we're all
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at
yeah.
Sag
Him bringing, yeah.
and
Yo,
him being a
Kanye's a
Gemini.
he's a perfect description for us bringing his own broad sense of spirituality into the world, basically.
And him talking about it, and that's the whole struggle of bringing these certain conversations into words and stuff like that, where we're in sad season where the topics are so broad and so vast. This Gemini just talking about it. Oh, Jews this, and all of this, that. These are broad topics that we can, if we were to go in, we probably could explain and justify the things that he said. But Gemini is just so narrow, but yet it's still making an impact in terms of affecting the structure of how we look at things. The trying to Saturn and Aquarius is kind of helping him out, making him not look that as flunked out with his Gemini ass, adding a little bit more air to balance things out. But it's funny because I wasn't registering that it was Sagittarius season that was going on when all of this conversation was going on, and a lot of nuances were picked at, and it goes to show you can't really nitpick or give a snippet of these larger conversations. You can't say, "Oh, Jews run the world," and then walk off, and and then not offer an explanation. You can't say,
Mhm.
"Well, you can say it. You can say whatever the fuck you want," but don't expect people to adopt the same type of perspectives when this is so broad. You have to use more broad words, and this Pisces moon ass knows that. You have to have a bigger pieces to your jigsaw puzzle. He's starting with smaller pieces, but Sagittarius, it just takes four pieces to build one picture, if you get what I mean. And that's the type of way you need to structure your mind in Sagittarius season. But it's just interesting that we're seeing that opposition, but yet it's still creating opportunity for him to still make sense, still to tackle down some of the structures that were going against him, and building more structures that, he has a better lane for him to do whatever it is that he wants to do, because the people that are against him or won't try and join him. You know what I mean? There's going to be a less opportunity of fake friends coming in the way of stifling what you're trying to do because everybody's against you. So the people who do rock with you, if you get what Saturn in Aquarius, so now you really know who's rocking with you.
You that could be actually perfect for Kanye because right now you're actually seeing the reality of his association, the reality of his groups. He can't line up go with Jay Z, Beyonce, Diddy, and all these people anymore. Look at who he is with. Alex Jones and some random white dude you've
Aquarius.
never seen
Alex
before.
Jones is Aquarius.
L-
That's
l-
jokes.
Yeah. So if anything, he probably found what people he needs to group with. Really.
And the more you talk
Hmm.
Gemini, making the channel Saturn Aquarius, the more he talks and does all of this shit, the more that becomes clear. The clearer it becomes, which is interesting. The trine, the faster that those realizations happen.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
So yeah, that's
yeah,
how Monday's looking. Yeah, the moon moving into Leo's, offering a lot of opportunity for individual creativity, and we're really being challenged to laugh at our mistakes, and this is helping us get over our
yeah.
past with the North Nodes and have better perspectives of the future spiritual journey that we are on, and how to have fun in the workplace, just incorporating more of our own individual creativity in areas that we normally don't do these things in, is really what Monday's about. So that's Monday. Looking at Tuesday, we have the moon in Leo opposing Saturn in Aquarius. How do you think this will hit us on?
So this is basically where basically Dole like to say shit hit the fan basically because you're gonna be expressing yourself on the stage and seeing how Saturn, the planet of restrictions and boundaries, and Saturn's restriction and boundaries in groups association, and the way we kind of decide to progress in our reality because you're trying to emotionally express yourself through your heart chakra, aka utilize your blood and things of that nature. Saturn wants to see if it could be correlated for the sake of a global purpose and things of that nature. And the opposition is making you see how far you are from that and things like that. So you definitely got a lot of learning to do when it comes to how you should utilize your emotion with your ability to get restrictions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How you deal with expressing yourself amongst restrictions. A lot of people, so much people, once there's a little bit amount of friction, you plead them out to draw out the inner star, to draw out their inner creativity, to and comfort's a large part of that. Cancer coming before Leo, so feeling a level of comfort and safety is an essential part of allowing that creativity to come out. But what opposes, that Cancerian energy, Saturn, Capricorn type deal. So once you start getting restrictions, it kind of makes it hard to jump into that creative bag. But you need that friction because you're going to run into restrictions. So this is a really a big test to see how you can incorporate your own individuality into situations amongst pressure, amongst peer pressure. How do you incorporate your own
Mhm.
individuality when the whole collective is saying this and is working towards this and that this is practical? This is way, and it's hard because we're talking about fixed energy. And when it's mutable, maybe it'll be confusing, but you can slide your way into there. This is like directly opposing. So it's more so going to be revealing of like what Hez was saying before, the click that you have and then how you associate it with yourself. Um, with this opposition on Tuesday, really take heed. Try and be honest about your emotions and communicate how you feel it. Let those raw emotions fly and try and be honest. And you'll really start exposing who is in the way. And you may be surprised, and maybe yourself, maybe your Leo energy is a little bit too domineering, and you need to take note from Saturn to be more practical about how you are receiving love. Maybe you're the way that you push out emotions, like you want everybody to accept your emotions or adopt your emotions. Your emotions may be the most important. and you're not seeing the bigger picture. Whereas if you were to draw some of that dominating and having your emotions being recognized and top centered, you can really feel more a part of the group, and then there will be more practicality for you to draw from. So you can be on either side of the spectrum. It's really on how you're dealing with both energies. But these two areas are really clashing with each other, and you're really forced to learn how to deal with emotional restriction. Some people just run away from expressing themselves as soon as the little bit of a friction goes. Look, yeah, I tried, or and just give up. So there's going to be that real test to see, what you're made out of on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
But the moon in Leo is trining the sun in Sagittarius, so there's leaps and bounds of opportunity for you to expand yourself. Wow, because Sagittarius is in the sun in Sagittarius, so we're talking about emotional restriction while we're trying to broaden our vision. You know what I mean? So it's a play on the contraction and
Mm-hmm.
expansion. So how do you think that adds to the energy?
So, this is just you learning how can you add all this broad experience and understanding about your busy your own personal understanding about God and bring it into your own individual expression. This is just you expressing the same thing you expressed, but this is you adding a broader lens to it, so people could understand. It could be, instead of you just expressing on one stage, it could be expressed in multiple stages. This is the type of energy you're getting with the moon and Leo trying the sun in Sagittarius. It's creating opportunity for you to be seen by the entire world and help you give meaning and reasoning to certain things that you're expressing, having fun with, and see whether they could be for the long term or not, since we're gonna head for the moon in Virgo, and this is gonna make you see the receipts, and this is gonna hit the square with the sun in Sagittarius. You see the learning opportunity. Did you actually do the right thing on the stage? Did you express the right thing? So right now, this is creating the learning opportunity for you to
Mm-hmm.
do that.
Mm-hmm. This is really this gives direction for Sag, but then it may give it a Sag can go so far in one direction, with this Leo energy, whereas it may have been broad, and you think that the added direction would make it work, but when it's Leo and this trine more fire, could take it a whole new, imagine certain people that are entertained by certain things, or that have fun in a certain way or express themselves in a certain way. A guy who thinks he's funny, or dad jokes or something like that, or who thinks they're funny, just a little bit of optimism, and they'll run with it, which could be end up being annoying, and a lot of domineering energy start coming about. A lot of people who thinks it's just about them, who really need to express themselves all the time and don't really have the room to understand what other people are going through, because they're so busy expanding how they see things and how they relate to the world and stuff like that. So you can really get a big head with these alignments, depending on how you use it. But it could also really help facilitate some healthy confidence, some healthy optimism, and some real belief and faith in selves that's powered and backed by your emotions that are powering your broadest dreams. So you have to be really careful on Tuesday on how you use this energy, because there's going to be that you see the opposition, where if you take into the opposition and back out, be like, nah, I'm scared to express myself, then you forfeit on that opportunity to really expand your self-belief and your confidence. So it's really important for us to take that opposition head on, because the sun in Sagittarius is really going to be there to support our emotions. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. So that's how Tuesday's looking at Wednesday. We have the sun in Sagittarius squaring Neptune and Pisces. How do you think this is going to hit?
So as you're finishing those final degrees, you come to the Sun in Sagittarius, learning how to express and take action on your broader vision and your higher understanding of things. You're going through more learning opportunity, and the need of being reminded that Neptune and Pisces at its final degree got more things for you basically to receive. There's more things for you to communicate, for your subconscious mind to communicate with you, and the learning opportunity is for
What
you
does
to
it
see
have?
how far
You
can
know,
you
you know.
take it when it comes to your dreams and illusions and your faith, and see how your subconscious mind could respond to that. Did you push it far enough this Sagittarius season, or did you not do it? And then uh, this is what you're gonna basically learn. Major learning opportunity about your
Hmm.
dreams and illusions, and how far can you go and how far you not go. And there's a very beautiful line to it. So you're very indecisive and may not even have something to go into going into this Capricorn season. So this is you seeing like what's really you've been working on a spiritual
For
level.
sure. For some reason, this makes me think of a dome. For some reason, like Hunger Games. Do you remember Hunger Games? How they were in, like, during the Hunger Games, how there was a barrier for the territory that they were in, and it kind of like, say if you try to go past the barrier, it would kind of like push you back. Add that reflective type. That reminds me of the square between Sag and Pisces, where Sag, you're trying to expand, but sometimes Neptune, and our belief systems of what we believe to be possible limit the realm of what we can expand through. Whereas with sad, sometimes we can clearly see where we can expand into, but there's like this invisible force field that blocks us from expanding into that. And that's what, just like what Harith was saying, is what you'll really be and start to notice, that invisible um, field. It's like you try and expand to be optimistic about certain things and apply faith and experience to certain things. And it's like you get bounced off, and it's like, what the fuck? What happened? But this really may be a key to subconscious beliefs that you have, limiting beliefs, um things that you believe to be real, that's preventing you from having faith in yourself, and expanding to all that you could possibly be. So a whole different types of illusions, and sometimes dreams, sometimes things that we are really invested in, and it may even start getting physical, into physical representations of these spiritual things, that really start holding us back from having the real spiritual understanding. For example, just for this alignment alone, this square, the Sagittarius being the need for spirituality. Look at Christianity in the church. If you were to really look at what Jesus said, Jesus was a Buddhist monk. And you can put Jesus up to a Buddhist monk, you can put him up to a Muslim, you can put him up to a Jew, you can put him up to all of these guys, and he will express love and he'll love them. And the way, the philosophy he'll kick, he won't disagree with any of them. Maybe he'll clean up some of the ideas, but he won't disagree with any of them. Meanwhile, the church, the Neptune representation, the limiting beliefs of the spirituality of what they believe to be true, distort everything that Jesus says to make you think that Jesus would oppose the Buddhist monk, and Jesus would oppose the Jew. Jesus would oppose the Muslim. Like, there's so much things people don't know. Jesus said Allah. That was the language at the time. He wasn't a Muslim, but he would have said Allah. You know what I mean? He was doing Buddhist traditions. This is what I'm saying. He was more broad, Sagittarius. But when it comes to what we believe in a belief system that is accumulated on a base of collective belief, can really deter you away from that self-religious journey. And then all of a sudden you wanted to be spiritual and you wanted to follow the ways of Jesus, but you started following the influence of the church, and then you started really squaring up with the teachings and philosophy that Jesus had said. That's just an example of how Sagittarius and square of Neptune can distort your faith and your need for creativity, and really give you that invisible block. It's like, what do you mean? How come I don't feel the peace in my heart yet? I'm doing what they said I was doing, but you follow the influence of the church instead of follow the path of Jesus. If you get what I'm saying, with that alignment. But what about Moon and Virgo trining Pisces? I mean Venus and Capricorn. How do you think that'll add to the energy of Wednesday?
So right now you're gonna be harvesting what you did on the stage, which is Moon and Leo. But basically, with the Moon and Virgo, you're gonna be reacting to with the energy of being flexible, adaptable, even indecisive when it comes to what makes sense, practicality, your routine, your health. Because right now you're seeing your self expression, which you expressed on the stage, and now you wanna practicalize it. You wanna make it make sense and things of that nature. And the trying to Venus in Capricorn, Venus obviously being in Capricorn is drying up your expression of love, making it much more practical, making you appreciate the need of status, a business. And as the moon is heading, collecting the receipts, is in Virgo, seeing what you need to do better. That's creating the opportunity for your emotions and your love matters to really propel you forward. When it comes to earth element, what's practical, what's stable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really helping you like when your emotions when your the moon goes into earth signs, it's so much easier to roll up your sleeves and get things done. It's so much easier for you to cuz just like how you when you back your emotions behind things, this is when you have power and when you really push things forward. So absolutely, this is a great day to.
Mhm.
And then we're talking about Virgo and Capricorn. Taurus may not be the best at maintaining your resources. I don't know. They want to be stable, but it's like they expect to be getting something. I don't know. You probably want the Virgo and Capricorn, to be monitoring the resources.
You know, that's how also plays out in reality. The farmers are always complaining about the people in power, the Capricorns. But like, look at the people who's manipulating all the details and things like that. That would be like the Virgo, the
Yeah.
sixth house. But everybody's relying on Taurus,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
farm.
Virgo's probably like the grocery store or something like that, and then the Capricorn's like the government or the agricultural industry and stuff like that. Taurus, the farmer. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Which I get
Hmm.
that. I get what you mean.
Hmm.
Because if the farmer had it up to him, he wouldn't just be growing wheat. He'd be growing everything, whatever he wants. But then you wouldn't be able to sell it as much. So it messes up the Capricorn Virgo aspect and stuff like that. What I'm saying is that more because your emotions are in the Virgo, so making practicalizing and trining with Venus and Capricorn, it's a lot of energy for you to handle like the large scale finances. Not necessarily saving the small things, but plotting and planning the bigger plans and bringing together the higher aspects in terms of assessing maybe your taxes or how much money you spent within the year, how much money you plan to spend within next year, large scale business plans and stuff like that, where you can really start putting some of those stuff into the motions with that energy on Wednesday.
So definitely a lot of it's gonna be a day about learning about faith and how can you utilize your emotion, your love matter in a much more practical way. And as you break through your dome of your
Absolutely.
subconscious.
Once you break through that dome of your subconscious, you see how much practical solutions that there are. It's kind of like a freeing thing. Like there's so much that you can do once you break through those boundaries.
And then when you see your emotions and then your love matters are all like in game dried up, like ready to
Yeah.
go, you're like kind of excited because you have
Ex-
something to work with basically. And especially it's your emotions and your feelings. Sometimes your love matters what prevent you from working. But in this case, it's the other way around. It's Moon in an Earth
mm-hmm.
sign and Venus in
Mm-hmm.
an Earth sign too.
Be way more of a desire, like to clean up your room, to organize things really in a large scale.
Mm.
It's a great time to be doing that. So yeah, that's how Wednesday's looking. Looking at Thursday, we have Mercury in Capricorn trining Uranus in the North Node in Taurus. How do you think this is? Um, and then the Moon in Virgo. So we
So,
have like a grand Earth trine going on Thursday. How do you think that's gonna hit?
so basically, as you're getting more thoughts and ideas on ways of communicating about your about ways that you could initiate about your business, your status, and trying to take power and control of that through communicating, which is gonna be really good. Mercury in Capricorn, this is like a really good way to communicate about your business and propel it forward, especially coming from Mercury in Sagittarius, where you learn how to communicate in a broad, meaningful way that everybody could see what you're talking about. But now in Capricorn, you could constrict your communication and make it make sense for the government. Now you're no longer speaking about Kabbalah. Now you're speaking about things that actually work for the government on a smaller size and things like that. But right now, having the transit Uranus and the North Node in Taurus, I feel like that was propel your way of thinking since Uranus and the North Node been in Taurus for a while, making us really exert a high amount of energy when it comes to uniqueness and originality to our physical body and our senses. Now with Mercury and Capricorn, now we could construct that. It's almost like having we've been building this strong body, and then Mercury and Capricorn. Now I have the mind to actually take control of that body and things of that nature. And and then the trying to Moon, also in Moon and in Virgo, this is you facilitating the proper way of uh digesting and breaking things down that could help you facilitate this earth trying and build on basically on that earth energy from all sides, coming from the way of thinking, but also the way you use originality and uniqueness, but also your spiritual path, but also your emotion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sounds like it can go like one of two ways. Like where the say if the shadow government reigns supreme, or if their energy fall into their Capricorn type energy, you'll fall into thinking about their structures, and Uranus and Taurus may even scare you during seeing the inconsistencies of this newness coming on, make you latch on to the structures. I'm thinking about it, orienting your mind against the structures and the tried and true conservative systems that they had divine, and then your moon and Virgo is desiring things to make sense. It may really help confirm that. So you may solidify yourself in within the societal structure a whole lot more with this earth trend that's going on, but depending on how it is. Whereas you may be supporting the shadow government plan, aka the plan that's already being put out. And we say shadow government because you don't know who the fucking who is did it, who is the companies that is influencing Justin Trudeau or Biden to write up whatever laws. You don't know the motherfucking company names or the top executives, but yet they're controlling the policies that your leaders make. So that's a shadow government. But so with that understanding, if you're just placating to that, whatever role is being pushed to you on that level, that will become more solidified. But if you're trying to establish your own structures, this is what your mind is going to be on. And you'll see the Uranus, the switching up of what's stable and what's value, providing these new opportunities for you to step into that mindset of, okay, these are my things that I can manage now. How do I create my own structure and things? And then the moon in Virgo can help you attach the emotion to wanting to that to make sense. So it's either way you can solidify your position in society with this earth trine, but based off of whose design, your own design or the shadow government's design. That's a huge theme that what I see happening on Thursday.
Hmm.
So what do you think about Friday with the moon in Virgo opposing Jupiter and Pisces?
So basically, as you're finalizing what you need to do in terms of your work routine and in terms of making sense of your daily life, but now you're looking at what you've been expanding on Jupiter, what you start to expand on in terms of your subconscious mind, what dream or illusion that you want to manifest and things of that nature, knowing that Jupiter is gonna head toward Aries, where we're gonna fight for it and become aggressive, fight for our faith. We're not having the moon oppose Jupiter and Pisces. Like this is almost the final touch for it before it goes to Jupiter and Pisces, uh, and things of that nature. So this is demanding you to really see where what you want to really expand on. How can you bring more of your dreams and your illusion into your daily work patterns, your health, and things of that nature? Because a lot of us forget the only reason that we work because somebody had a dream before this that led them to creating a business that led them to creating our position. So now we work in this routine and a pattern. So the moon and Virgo could make you this opposition make you realize and break through certain routines and pattern, which you think you actually might need it. But having this opposition is going to show you, remember, this is how big your dream is, and this is how much you extracted from it in terms of knowledge and wisdom. But this is how much you need to work for it. This is how much maybe work you need, how much in terms of health, in terms of ways of correlating yourself for the future, for your subconscious mind. This is you learning. How can I get my body together
Mm-hmm.
based upon what's on my subconscious mind?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And both the moon and Jupiter in this position, when they meet this opposition, they're like in like 29. They're both in the turnover degrees, about to pass over into the next signs. So right now, Virgo,
Mhm.
the moon in Virgo is struggling. It's making sense of practicalizing how it structures its time and how it structures its energy so that it can balance with other its emotions with other people on an equilibrium and on a successful levels of big successful partnerships. AKA Libra. Jupiter in Pisces is expanding their knowledge on everything, the subconscious mind, so that they can expand their knowledge onto who they are and their individual journey. So you can see how the opposition, especially in the later phase, how especially with the moon in Virgo, wants to make sense out of things and wants everything to be order and structure. But Jupiter right now is trying to understand everything. There's no order and structure to that. So it's really applauding you to pull in and extract in the certain receipts, the certain things from your dream that can be grounded. And then your dream, if your dream was as big as you allowed yourself to dream and you allowed yourself to experience the whole thing and not suppress certain subconscious wants and desires and experiences, you'll be able to ground in what's most important. From that vast array, you'll be able to pull that down with certain suppression in certain in areas you may not have expanded to be able to contract on the right things, if you get what I'm saying. So then you wouldn't be able to proceed, aka the relationships that you have may be unbalanced because you didn't understand enough of your subconscious to expand more of yourself as an individual. So with the lack of expansion of yourself as an individual, how are you going to go and balance a relationship? You don't even know who you are. This is why you really have to make sense out of the dreams that you and ground them. Which ones of them are real? Which ones can I attach my emotions to? Which ones can I fulfill? And then you'll see that steamrolls you on that road to self discovery, that road to self journey. But it starts off in that vast unknownness, that it's sometimes it's overwhelming because you're taking in all of the subconscious. But the moon's really asking you, and Jupiter's been in this precipice. And so the moon's really asking you, all right, what can we bring this? Remember, we're trying to balance our energy with the world at large. That's the goal. So what really makes sense and what can be grounded and practicalized from the dreams that we try to understand. Um, Moon in Virgo squaring Sun in Sagittarius. More kind of more on the lines of what we're talking about.
So this is like you saying more just grounding energy sense our ascended higher perspective, the sun being in Sagittarius, is going to go through learning opportunity with what we need to digest it so far. So like, this is more adding to what you're saying. Jupiter in Pisces makes us expand our subconscious mind, and the sun in Sagittarius is also almost experiencing this what's on your subconscious mind. The square is also okay finalizing and practicalizing okay what makes sense and what does not make sense. But this is a good square, is making you see how certain routines and patterns and maybe even health problems are preventing you from expressing yourself in the most broad optimistic way you can be, but also on the negative side could show you how much illusion you have in terms of self-expressions and realizing what's unnecessary and things of that nature. Moon and Virgo is gonna ground that sun in Sagittarius, but also the sun in Sagittarius will push that moon
Absolutely.
and
This
Virgo
reminds me of
forward.
like a school project, and Virgo, the moon in Virgo is like the one who's doing all the work. Is doing all the work in the school project, and then Jupiter and Pisces and Sun and Sagittarius, they just running around, being all flunked out, doing all different types of shit. But how can the Moon and Virgo manage this project to get the most? They're just running around, but the way Moon and Virgo handles it, it could take certain idea, the stupid idea or stupid thing that imaginative Jupiter and Pisces may you could take that and correlate it to the project or whatever it is. So even though they're not cooperating and they're being more expansive and not necessarily trying to do the work, maybe whatever they're doing on that level can somehow trickle down to be making sense to the work, and you can still get the project done. And then look at the moon trying to Pluto in caps like the Sirius. Maybe that's the teacher, and they're all scared of the teacher. So even though they may not be best suited for the project or as good as Virgo sitting down, there's a seriousness that they direct to, or Virgo can go and tell this person to get the other planets in line, or to take the project more seriously. But it makes me feel like Virgo is stuck doing all the whole work, and you could become worried and really dive into the negative side of Virgo, or Virgo could become the master and realize that they can manipulate them to still have them work out to be more practical. But you have to be open to the challenge, and a lot of times Virgo would just, if it don't make sense, I don't try. So you're really being applauded to make emotional sense out of chaos.
This combo is interesting in terms of, because we know for you to really maybe experience God or ascend, you need to have started with some form of a routine, pattern, work, service, right? But then that service and work becomes a trap for you, and then that will cause you to travel and then move afar, and things of that nature. But also, you realize for you to sustain that again, you need to start working again, get a routine and a pattern. But then that leads into the whole uh, cycle of this kind of weird square of education and learning, basically.
I get that. I get that. I don't know why, but that made me think of a slave of being picked up. I don't know. I'm like, the slave boat pulled up and like, y'all niggas want some extra work or something like that. Niggas like, sure. And then they had to go and learn. Okay, now I'm a slave. They're like, okay, you can stop if you work for 5, 10 years. We'll let you stop being a slave. And you're like, all right, fine. And then you're gonna be a slave for the 10 years and stuff like that, just to realize that you probably didn't have to do any of that shit in the first place. That just made me think of that for some reason. I don't know why, but that's how Friday's looking. Um, Looking at Saturday, we have the Moon in Libra squaring Mercury and Venus in Capricorn. How do you think that square is gonna hit us all?
So you're gonna take what you basically practicalized in Virgo based upon what you expressed on the stage when the moon was in Leo, but now this is the time for you to initiate balance, harmony, create relationship. But now having the square to Mercury in Venus, you obviously been thinking, communicate about your business status and what makes sense for you to do that. And Venus is obviously drawing itself up to make itself presentable for business and status. Having the moon in Libra might make you too communicative for the sake of having fun, enjoying a conversation. But remember, you've been thinking, and Mercury and Venus demanding you to work on your business. So this is a square for you to learn what you need to necessarily put aside in
Mm-hmm.
terms of communication, aka stop being friendly and think about and love the bag. And that's the square
Absolutely.
making you
Moon
realize
and
that.
excuse me. Moon and Libra is gonna make you super ultra friendly, and really open to kindness and open to
Mm,
partnerships.
mm,
But yeah, just like what Harold was saying,
mm,
Mercury and Venus is gonna be like
mm,
not just any partnership, not just like what are you doing with all of this openness? This is maybe a
mm,
little bit too open. So you may run into a situation where you emotionally want to include somebody, or you emotionally want to be a little bit more kinder or more accepting to somebody, even though you know that it's against what you're trying to do, or it's distracting your mind, or it's against the bag and it's taking away from some of your resources, and you have to learn how to mitigate that. Sometimes you may need to be a little bit more rougher, like what Harris was saying, care a little bit more about the bag than making someone feel nice about themselves. But it depends on
mm,
whatever side of the spectrum that you're on, because
mm,
sometimes incorporating a little bit more openness and niceness can work for the business. You know what I mean? And you create the right relationship, and now things start to work in tandem. The what I suggest is that you put in a little screening process of your openness. Be open in terms of give everybody the an audition, but don't take everyone that auditioned, if you get what I mean. You know what I mean? Let them audition for the opening role.
mm,
It's an open role.
mm,
Anybody can play the role.
mm,
But you have to fit the role.
mm,
Come with that more perspective. So
mm.
you're not closing yourself off to someone based off of maybe appearances and how things seem. You know what I mean? You're still open, but you're not letting things that don't correlate with business to get past the tryout stages. And then the moon in Libra is
Mm,
trining Mars and
mm.
Gemini. How do you think that adds to the energy?
So we know Mars is retrograding in Gemini, making you rethink a lot of ways of you go with the ways you go about your actions, your desires, and what you want to basically your willpower and things of that nature, and how you apply it in terms of your communicative faculty in a broad way, so you can develop more information through just being passionate about a conversation and arguing. But the Moon in Libra is here, like and you feeling like a liberal person. The Mars in Gemini, yeah, you want to argue about all type of laws, all type of public affairs, and things of that nature. So there's a lot of energy to get lost in, but this is a good time to really create balance for the what you want to take action in, since Mars is retrograde and making you really think about what you're taking action
Mm-hmm.
in and things of that nature.
For me, this gives me a lot of sneak dissing vibes. Moon and Libra, trining Mars and Gemini. It's like a friend gonna say something to you that was a little bitchy and insulting, but it sounded nice. It was kind of sandwiched in a compliment. So it's like I don't know, you know, but like more of that energy, for sure. Where it seems nice, or maybe it comes from a nice place, but how it came out is a little bit rougher. But this allows for the conversation to get pushed more
Mhm.
with that air, you know, just including more of that fluffiness, including more of what that other person is. You know, it's taking the edge off of Mars and Gemini, and maybe making the conversations a little bit more friendly, and maybe the conversations can go a lot farther. Just like with the sneak diss, you know, somebody can sneak diss you, and then you keep on talking to them, and then later on you wait, what did this nigga say? What did he mention about that? I didn't even notice because it was wrapped up in these pleasantries, because it's wrapped up in all of that. So more things can get said, more air comes out in those situations. Not necessarily always the best, because now a scrap can come up, or you let the nigga sneak this you, and now the moment pass, and you don't even know what to do with yourself. Type of energy. But this also could help push the conversation forward in terms of helping remind you of putting the kindness in your heart. So instead of getting frustrated when Mars or Gemini say you're trying to communicate something, and people are opposing you, or whatever the situation is that might push you into the frustrated aspects of Mars and Gemini. Moon and Libra may help cool you down, may help you see the balanced side of things, and you know, still communicate without being emotionally swayed, so that you can keep an emotional equilibrium more, so the conversation could get pushed and you're not aggravated and agitated. And then what about the moon in Libra opposing Chiron in Aries?
So as your emotion reacting to initiating balance and harmony, which could play out positively as you gaining more relationship and finding more conversation to propel your business, or negatively you
Yeah.
communicating with useless people, or I guess just waste your time. The opposition to Karya and Aries is making you see uh the lack of maybe the damage in terms of how you the damage in terms of yourself expressing yourself individuality, and how can you deal with that, and can you incorporate it when it comes to the moon in Libra, since right now we're in a social sign and the moon wants to communicate on a more social level about maybe these things dealing with that's preventing you from moving forward when it comes to expressing yourself, your personality. This type of conversation where people, your friends might try to heal you, help you heal to the way of seeing things and things of that nature. It's going to help you improve your personality, your personal
Mm-hmm.
issues, and these type of energies. Yeah, but it's going to be hard since you gotta conversate about something that's so personal. But that's something that's so personal is kind of damaged and it's retrograde too. You got still a lot of work to do. But then the moons wants you to communicate and balance things out. It's almost like letting your friends know, hey, like
Ab-
I got this brain injury. But like
Absolutely, I get
you
what you
wanna tell
mean.
them.
That's how relationships are. People don't realize how tangled are, and that's what we were talking about the other day in terms of the duality of the signs and stuff like that. Like you can't talk about your individuality without mentioning, aka Aries, without mentioning Libra, aka your relationships and how you relate with people. Um, so it's like that mirror effect of your relationships shows you so much about yourself. So much about yourself. Your relationships are literally just posing as mirrors to show you about yourself. And just like what Harith was saying, that's going to be ever more present with that alignment, with the opposition to Chiron and Aries, where maybe you'll start seeing your mistakes, your personal mistakes being shown through you through the people in your life, and you may not even realize that, you're like, oh, this person did this and this person did that. You don't even realize that they're doing what you're doing, and God's using them as a vessel to show you that that is what you're doing. And so really peep out, peep that, and see how your individual mistakes show itself within your relationships, and what that shows about you, what that shows about the your relationships, and how you can bring some type of balance and equilibrium to that.
Definitely a lot of social
Yeah,
energy on
a lot of
Saturday.
balancing your relationships,
Mhm.
sorting out how to feel about your relationships, how to be kind, how to be inclusive with other people, yet still get the bag, still being practical, still communicating what needs to be said, and still taking yourself into account. So very challenging on the balance aspect of your social life. But yeah, that's how Saturday's looking. Looking at Sunday now. The moon in Libra is making a sextile to Sun in Sagittarius. How do you think this will hit?
So as your emotion actually initiating balance and relationship and harmony, you're seeing opportunities on how to bring your own broad experience that you've been learning and giving meaning and reason to and ascending. It's almost like you bringing your own personal understanding about God to like your relationship and the people you're in marriage with and things of that nature, which is going to be quite good because this is going to prepare you for the moon in Libra. Because right now you want to apply that wisdom and knowledge that you developed in Sagittarius, and then look at your relationship, look at the people you've been married to, and see whether you want to actually continue with them or not. Because when the moon goes into Scorpio, this is when you get a backstab, and you're gonna see where you did not apply that wisdom, that broader understanding of things that you learned that you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to learn while the sun was in
That's for sure. And how
Sagittarius.
to make your relationships more optimistic, make your kindness more optimistic, and how to extend more
Mm-hmm.
understanding through that balancing process. Just like what Harold is saying, because say the moon goes into Scorpio, you may start feeling vulnerable and less than. That's probably because you didn't attach enough meaning and reasoning to how you felt about your relationships. So when it came to certain aspects, now you're vulnerable. Now you feel less than. Now you feel taken away from because you didn't put more enough wisdom and knowledge and attention into understanding how you felt about your relationships and how to balance your energy, and how to establish an equilibrium. You can so much feel come out less than that. So right now it's really important on Sunday to really broaden your understanding of what does kindness mean. What does it mean to be kind? What does it mean to give someone your emotion, to end up in an emotional partnership with people, and how can you make the most out of that? Especially when, say, if it goes into Scorpio, you won't even feel less than with those type of understanding, even if the person went and took more energy from you. You won't feel less than, you'll feel like you added more knowledge, and then now you'll feel more secure to a degree, because through that confirmation of the knowledge that you had, now you know, okay, now you know what to let go of, now you know what to push away, what emotions to freeze and stuff like that. Now you can utilize that Scorpio energy. Now you know what emotions to manipulate, and what you can more deeply connect with. It's like exposing the fakes. Libra and Sag can really give a big arena, and it can that combination can really be taken advantage of. But that arena can really give a person, a manipulative person, a backstabbing person, a lot of room to expose themselves. That's a really friendly person who's bowed a lot, and then so they're open and about all of these things, and so optimistic. It kind of, all the darkness in your heart, if it's a genuine, the darkness in your heart or the manipulation that you may be planning is a lot more clearer. That little dimness that you have when that person's being so bright and open, if you get what I mean. So don't be afraid of the partnerships and the being open, because you may really expose some snakes in the grass, and that's necessary. That's very necessary. Moon and Libra squaring Pluto and Capricorn. Looks like we're killing those snakes right now. but yeah, how do you think this compares?
100% Pluto and Capricorn is that's almost like the government taking power, control the structure, and then seeing what Moon and Libra, like what all the politicians are doing, and the square is the learning opportunity for us to realize there's actually this separation between what the politicians and what the people when it comes to communicating are actually doing in terms of alliances, and what actually the government is doing in terms of structure. And there's always this communication between those, the seven house and the 10 house, that a lot of people don't realize, and things of that nature. So the squares can facilitate learning opportunity for you to take control of your emotion and how you utilize it in terms of relationship as a balancing faculty. But you're supposed to do it for Pluto and Capricorn,
Absolutely.
for your business, your
And this really
status.
helps tame that the sextile with the sun in Sagittarius, so that you don't go too broad and optimistic and all happy go lucky. I'm gonna make a partnership with everybody. The square of Pluto and Capricorn is letting you know that this is serious, and that the emotional energy that you're investing is going to pay dividends later on. That it's going to really matter later on, and you're going to be forced to let go of things that aren't being adding to more practicality and stability. So it's reminding you of that aspect. It's like the world's your oyster, where you can choose whatever to start this new relationship with, to start understanding your relationship a little bit more. But you have to remember that this is some serious shit. And if you don't want to enter a relationship or enter a type of agreement or open up a door that is eventually going to be closed, that's eventually could be snatched away, if it's not serious enough, then, don't invest into it. And leave the moon Libra is gonna be like, but it looks so nice, what it, maybe it's like seeing um an
Mhm.
animal at the shelter type deal, and you have it in your heart, it's like you want to take it home, but you barely can clean up your own ass. You barely wipe your own ass when you get up off of the toilet, let alone going to wipe this new nigga's ass, even though the idea is nice and stuff like that. But the implications that it's having is a little bit serious, where it may seem nice, and then you go and do it, and then now you don't have the room to entertain it, or to take care of it, and you end up doing things that are more detrimental, and then you start suppressing energy, and then maybe things turn. Maybe that's not being the best example, but just to show you that something can look good, or it can look like you're being kind, but it's not adding to the practicality of anybody at the end of the day. So you really have to watch for that on Saturday. It's a challenge for you to retain that kind heart, but still be able to say no when it's necessary, and be serious and executive in thought when it's time to be executive. What about Mars and Gemini sextiling Chiron and Aries?
Mm-hmm. So as you're taking, basically Mars is making you more passionate about communication and learning, but having the sextile to Chiron and Aries is basically making you see the opportunity on how you could heal the way you see yourself through taking actions and desiring communication, desiring arguing. It's almost a type of energy where you're putting all your nervous system into your respiratory system so you could breathe, but it's that's seeing the opportunity, the sexta, to bring more blood towards your head and things of that nature, and that's gonna allow you to heal Cardia and Aries and deal with your self-expression. But it starts with like trying to see what you got, like putting yourself out there to communicate and arguing, and when you get a response that allow you to see on how you could fix or correlate your self-image better or your
I get
personality.
that. I get that for sure. It speeds up a lot for sure, for sure. And the added energy that's going into the conversation, for sure. Maybe that's um like having your injury, like maybe you have a headache, but what you have to do right now is like moving around, so it's kind of like facilitating the headache a little bit more, but you develop a little bit more understanding. It's like, okay, now you know exactly where in your head the headache is, you know exactly what actions ag- aggravate the headache, and how you could do the actions. Maybe you just have to twist your head like this when you're lifting up something, and then now it doesn't hurt your head anymore as much and stuff like that. No, that's what it seems like to me.
Mhm. So definitely, yeah, you're seeing a lot of opportunity too to make mistakes, but these mistakes gonna help you heal. It's almost like a conversation. You say something about someone, and then someone say it back to you, and then you realize that, oh,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
okay,
You
and that
collect
helps
more
you develop
information.
better on your personality, basically. Yeah,
hmm Now your mistakes are
yeah,
information gathering opportunities, instead of self-deprecating opportunities to self-deprecate yourself. To look down on yourself. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah,
hmm
that's the week, the energy of the week, guys. If you like the video, like and subscribe. We'd appreciate the support. Follow us on Instagram, Truspace underscore. Follow, check out our website, truespace.biz. And yeah, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out.
take care. Yeah.